Hello my friends, Jake Andrews here. Welcome back to my channel. So glad to have you here today. I'm really excited to share this lesson on the classic 1963 instrumental called Memphis by legendary guitarist Lonnie Mack. Lonnie Mack was an extremely influential early blues rock guitarist and vocalist who is not as well known as he should be. He was extremely influential on the guitar playing styles of artists such as Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jeff Beck, and Duane Allman. He had a very unique guitar sound that came from his use of a late 50s Gibson Flying V, played through a magnetone amp and always using the fast tremolo effect on his guitar. He also often used a capo in various keys to be able to play a lot of open strings in his playing. His guitar playing was very fast and was a noticeable step above the rock and roll guitar playing up to that point. His playing really bridged the gap between late 50s rock and roll guitarists like Chuck Berry and the later 60s blues rock gods like Clapton, Hendrix, Jimmy Page, and Duane Allman. The 1963 album that included Memphis, which is called The Wham of That Memphis Man, is the best representation of his early guitar playing that had such a huge impact back then. Memphis, Wham, which was later covered by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and also the lesser-known Chicken Pickin', which sounds like an early version of Scuttlebutton by SRV. These three instrumental songs especially will give you an idea of how advanced his guitar playing and sound was for this early era. Now, Lonnie Mack had started playing guitar very young and was mentored by several old bluesmen as he was growing up in the late 40s and early 50s. He became so good that he quit school at age 13 and already was playing professionally all throughout the 50s. He was based in Cincinnati and became a session guitarist for a small label there called Fraternity Records in about 1960. Now, the session for Memphis came about on March 12, 1963, at the end of a recording session backing up a local band called the Charmaines. Lonnie was offered the remaining 20 minutes of paid studio time, and he decided to just jump right into this version of Memphis. Now, he had improvised his version a few years earlier when the vocalist who normally sang and played the Chuck Berry song missed a gig. Lonnie didn't know the lyrics to the song, but when the audience called for it, he improvised a highly embellished electric guitar instrumental loosely based on Chuck Berry's melody. He made the instrumental a regular feature of his live show, calling it simply Memphis. As recorded in 1963, Memphis featured a brisk melodic blues solo within a rockabilly/Memphis soul framework, augmented by a rock drum beat. It represented a significant advance in rock guitar virtuosity beyond both the prevailing chords and riff standard of Chuck Berry and the inherently simple melodic solos of earlier rock guitar icons like Link Wray, Duane Eddy, and Hank Marvin. Lonnie Mack himself recalled that upon recording the song, "It didn't mean a thing to me. I left to go on the road. We hit every roadhouse between Cincinnati and Miami, but we didn't have time to listen to the radio. So I had no idea what was going on until one night we were backing up Chubby Checker. The disc jockey came running over to me saying, 'You have the #1 record on our station.'" Now, by June of that year, Memphis had risen to #4 on the Billboard's R&B chart and #5 on Billboard's pop chart. It ended up selling over 1 million copies, and the popularity of Memphis led to bookings at larger venues, at least one tour in the UK, and numerous performances with Chuck Berry. Later in 1963, Lonnie released Wham, which was a gospel-esque guitar track. And that song reached number 24 on Billboard's pop chart in September of that year. Although Memphis was the bigger hit, many associate the faster-paced Wham and the lesser-known but still faster Chicken Picking from 1964 with the guitar style he pioneered. So that's a little history about Lonnie Mack and this particular song, Memphis. I definitely plan to dive deeper into Lonnie's guitar style and some of his other songs at a later date. My father first introduced me to these songs when I was a little kid, and they had a great influence on my playing as well. But for now, let's go ahead and hop into this video lesson, and I will show you how to play this Lonnie Mack song. All right, everybody, welcome into the inner workings of the song, Memphis. We are in the key of G. Here's our bar chord there, and we're using 3 chords, G, C, and D. It's just a 3-chord 1-4-5 blues rock song. That's all it is. So if we're down here, minor pentatonic, our first position. That's where we're at. Now the intro of the song is really cool, really unique. It's actually being played over a C back to a B flat. Really unique sound. Now, of course, he's using this D chord shape up here, just these top 3 strings. Okay? And we're going back and forth between this, which is the C, back a full step to the B flat. All right? Now, the way he's playing is like this. So hit this first C shape twice. And it's kind of this choppy off time part. And it comes in right on. And then it slides. All right, so we do 1, 2, 1, slide. And this is off time. It's on 1 and 2 and. So we're playing on the backbeat. All right, so we're playing on the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, like that. All right, so the second time does not do the slide. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It just does it twice there. Once again, now you can hear him kind of pick the G string note in between, like on the actual downbeat, like. So he does do that. It's pretty subtle, but you can add that in. Okay, and that is the intro. Once again, let's try it again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, take particular notice of how I'm kind of bouncing it on there to get that choppy sound. Okay, that's how we're going to get that kind of choppy, bouncy sound. And that is it for the intro. At that point, we're jumping back here to G, and we are doing just our regular rock and roll. This kind of, you know, we use it in blues, shuffle. Kind of a 12-bar blues rhythm, very common. It's also the foundation of rock and roll. So if you haven't played this before, it's just the lowest notes of a bar chord, G bar chord, a power chord, and we are reaching over with our pinky to get this note out here, which is the 6th. But you got to keep your first finger down, so it's kind of a stretch. You can do it with your middle finger if that feels better, but this is how most people play it. Now take special note here to pull in the direction of your pinky. You don't want to be like this trying to stretch over. You need to straighten out your first finger so you can bring it over and really drop your wrist down. All you have to do is plant this one finger on that note. Doesn't matter what's going on underneath that. We just need that one note ringing out. All right, so that's how we're going to play this, and we're going to do it over 1, 4, 5 chord changes, which is G, C, and D. Okay, now this is what the part looks like. You're just going to play that much. And again, he's doing that really bouncy, choppy sound. That's all you're going to do. At that point, your ring finger, we're going to slide from 5 to 7. And then on your first finger, here, bar the 4th and 3rd strings. And we're going to do a quick down up. It's pretty choppy, and that's what we want, okay? So if we put that together, it sounds like... And that slide is immediate. You hear that? Now, you could do those downstrokes if you need to, but I prefer to kind of get that upstroke. Now, we're going to do that for 4 complete rounds. Here we go. Notice how I'm bouncing by kind of releasing my pressure. That's how we kind of chop it up a bit. We want that sound. Also, as I mentioned earlier, what's very integral to his sound on all of these early recordings is that tremolo effect, okay? And the amps he played through, the Magnetone amps, they had a really unique tremolo sound to them. So you just do the best you can, find a good tremolo if you have it on your amp or an effects pedal, whatever. But you want that pretty fast tremolo to get this sound, okay? So play with it, listen to the original recording, and see if you can figure out about what speed he has it set at. And that adds a lot to this. Okay, so we're going to do it 4 times on top like that. Then we're going to drop down to C. And it's really the same thing here on C, 2 rounds. We're going to do... And we can get the 3rd and 2nd string there. And back to the G twice. Now hop over here to D and do it once here. Back to C. And back to the G twice. And that is all there is to it. That is that first verse. Let's try it full speed because it's not that hard and I think y'all can get it. If you're ready, go ahead and do it with me right now. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. That is the entire first verse, plus that intro piece. Okay, now we kind of go into the first lead. All right, and the lead is played between our first and second positions. And what we are getting is this very common lick or riff here on the third and second string, where we're going into the second box and then we're coming back to our first box. All right, and in this case, we're going to be mostly strumming these two strings together and sliding into these two notes every time. I'm sliding a full step from my ring finger at 5 to 7, and my middle finger is already down. Well, you can get away with a half step too. One thing I will mention, notice how when I'm sliding, I'm not using my whole hand like that. That's kind of awkward, unless you're literally having to slide up the neck. But notice how, this is kind of a pro tip for you guys out there, notice how my thumb is really stable on the top there, and I'm just opening up my wrist. I'm kind of throwing open my wrist while my thumb stays on top. That will be a lot more stable for any sliding around here that's not too far. See, look how much I can do without my thumb really changing position. All right, so watch this first lick. All right, that is the first lick. Slide into that twice like that, strum them both. And you can slide it back or just jump it back. Right there in those notes in the box. Double that root note up and then kind of roll up to the fifth string and do this. Right there also in the box. So the whole thing sounds like. You might want to give a slight bend there on the minor third. Of course, eventually this is going to get pretty quick because he's playing it pretty fast. So you're probably going to have to alternate a lot of these notes. That's how it should sound. That's the first lick. Now the second lick, actually most of these licks are going to be doing this each time. The second lick is going to answer it with a slightly different riff. Okay, so we just kind of hold there. All right, so pause, let it ring out, and then we begin the third one from here by going, and then go into the slide again for the third lick. That third one goes back to the same lick we did on the first one. Let's stop for a minute and play those three licks, and it sounds like this. That's what we have so far. Finally, the fourth one does this. Okay, so the fourth one does this same piece. As soon as we hit that root note, we're going to jump down here, first string, and come over to the third string. We're going to get this sharp blues note right here and slide it back. Root note, and back to this third string. Okay, so that's the fourth lick. Okay, let's keep going. Next one goes back to that first one. Then we have this. That's a different variation. So he goes kind of a crisscross. See that third string to root, down to the third string again, and fourth string. And he gets it going pretty fast. So that would be kind of what I'm calling the sixth riff, okay? The one before was, and then the seventh time, go back to our original lick again. And finally on this eighth time, just do this. So pick the root note and then hammer back into it. All right, but wait, there's more. Now, before we get into the next part, let's go ahead and play what we have. Like I said, I'm calling this 8 kind of rounds of this, all right? And it sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. All right, are you still with me? At that point, we're going to the 5 chord change, which is the D, and we do this. Now, we're sliding into that same shape again, but we're picking the notes individually. Now, you could do this with your ring and middle, but for where he's going to go with the lick, I'm choosing to switch over to my middle and first. And you'll see why here in a minute. So, middle finger now and slide. Play those individually and let them ring out. Pause, and then he kind of re-slides in just half a step and goes. So we're on that triangle. Put this together. Do that, and then re-slide in and pick those notes. So these are all single notes you hear. Let's try all of this. You can put a little vibrato on that too. But let it ring out. Definitely don't cut that off. You see that? Third, second. Re-slide in. And do this lick again. Which we did earlier. Bang. At that point, go back to our original lick and then end on with that same hammer on. Woo! All right, let's back up and play this whole second verse slowly. And a 1 and a 2 and a. And that is it. Now at that point we go up to the very recognizable chord part, and this really comes from kind of what Chuck Berry's playing on the original song. Also, by the way, if you don't know the original Chuck Berry song, you really should if we're doing this, but look it up. It's called Memphis, Tennessee. And so at this point for the third verse, we're on this root note. Really, we want to slide from here, and we're sliding up to the 12th fret to the D. Now what we're doing is we're going to slide into this chord shape, like a F chord shape. You all know this, or you should. It's the half shape of the full bar chord. But we are turning this into a voicing called a 6. So instead of just a regular D major, this is a D6, and we're putting our pinky on the second string here at 12. In that case, we don't have to really bar the first finger. We can just be on the first string. And you want to make sure everything's real upright up on your fingertip. Okay? What's cool is this is the same shape, if I move everything up a string, as a dominant 7, like C7 shape. But we're down here on strings 4, 3, 2, 1. And what we're doing is we're strumming all 4 strings. Basically, we're sliding from D, C into D and back again. So sliding, sliding, backwards, sliding. And really, I'm starting it from... I'm really kind of forming that chord shape on the way up and sliding into this. Watch my strumming. I'm going... Yeah, so down, up, down, up, down, up. See, that last one is a backward slide. And then you strum it a second time once you're there at C with an upstroke. Watch me once again. And then add a little. Four rounds of this. With that last up down, that little tag note there. Very cool, so cool. And when you're sliding, don't squeeze so hard that you get stuck anywhere. You want to go straight from the C to the D and backwards. So stay loose enough that you can do that with every note still ringing out. Full speed would sound like... Okay? Now at that point, we're going to take it back here and do the exact same thing from F to G for 2 rounds, like this. Now back up here, C to D. And then this last one goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And watch my strumming. See that one? This last one is different. And it takes us right back to our rhythm up here on top, our chunky rhythm, which is... And we want to do that 2 rounds. So that is this whole verse, very recognizable. Let's try it once together, and I'm going to come out of that previous verse with... Okay, everybody, so that wraps up that melodic chord verse. And so now we have the intro. We have the rhythm section. We have the first lead verse. And then we have this melodic chord part. So that brings us up to the second lead verse, and this one is a killer. This time we're up in the second position of G, minor pentatonic. We're playing on the higher strings, the first and second string. And it sounds like this. I'm going to go ahead and play the first section, the first chunk that we're going to work on. Very cool lick. Okay, so let's break that down. We've just ended on. And straight down to the first string here, thumbs over the top, 2 fingers, and we're going to bend it twice. Okay, you hear that? That's what we're playing here on this first lick. Bend, bend, back and forth here. And then on the second string. Back again. See how I'm breaking that down? Up, up. Third to first finger. Second string. See, I double up on that root again. And then follow it up with on the first string there. Let's play that together. Full speed. You hear that timing, that phrasing? That's very important. Now we're going to answer it with this. So that is same bend. This part's the same. Same up to that point. Go straight back to the first string, first finger, and then come over to the root note here, second string, and we're going to pick that and then collapse it back to the first string. Back here, first string. Back to the root note, second string, and then finally in back here on the first string. Full speed. Once again, you're probably going to need to alternate here. All right, so we have. Now the third lick goes back kind of like the first one. But we cut it off there. Go straight to the first string here, first finger, and we're going to slide backwards to the 3rd fret to carry us back into our first position. That's what we're about to do. So I slide backwards. Second string, a slight bend, and then first to second string. So adding the first part. Awesome. Now over here I'm going to reach on the 3rd string to the 6th fret. I'm getting that blues note, that sharp 4, that flat 5 right here. And I'm pulling it backwards. Up to the root note there on the 4th string. Collapse it back to the 3rd string. All together. finally I do this really cool lick. It's just a pull off on the 4th string, 5th string, back to the 4th string. But the way he plays it, he really pops it. Really fast, really pops it. Now he quickly follows it up with, you can really kind of hear him going into the double stops, double strings on the 3rd and 2nd. It's another kind of move where he collapses from the root back down. So 3rd and 2nd string, root note 4th string, and then back down to the 3rd and 2nd string. And that's quick as well. It's all fast. What can I say? So and that's where we're stopping for a minute. Let's back up to the beginning of this verse. And full speed. Man, killer. Now at that point he immediately goes into this. So there's a lot of similar elements here to this lick. All right, so after we did this first one, we're gonna start on this blues note right here at 6, and with a slight bend, we're going to that 2nd and 1st string there. Straight to the 2nd string, and we're gonna do 5 of these bends. And it sounds like. Now we go to the 1st string here, we're gonna walk this back up here to the 2nd string, and then this same move, 1st to 2nd string. And actually put a slight bend there on that 2nd string if you can. Same move here where we pull it back. And it's really the same. Okay, so. And then back to this. And it sounds like. Now he quickly follows that up with a very similar lick starting in the same place. One bend. That same bend, but he's just doing it once. Now on the 2nd string, go back to the 2nd string here. I'm using my ring finger, and I'm going to pull it from 6 to 5, and then I'm pulling off from 5 to 3. All one move. Because it's very fast, my friends. Straight to the 3rd string here with this similar pull-off. So a pull-off there on the 3rd string. Root note. Collapse it. Straight back up to this same pull-off here on the 4th string. So follows those one after another. And that whole thing. That's a lot. Let's back up again to the beginning of this whole verse. The timing, the phrasing is the most important part. Notice how there's no pausing, there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to run. You just got to go for it. Okay, even at that slower speed, you can tell there's just no pausing, there's no letting up. And that's what makes his playing so amazing back then. He's just like full on, balls to the wall. All right, so at that point, we actually are on the 5 chord. And we're not actually playing that, but that's the chord change we're at. And so at that point, we're gonna break out of this first box, go into the second box again, and this whole last section or chunk sounds like this. Man, that's a mouthful. That's a lot of run-on licks there, especially when you do it fast. And that ends the verse. Okay, so let's look at that lick right here. So after we finish this lick down here, immediately we're going to go into the second position, second string ring finger. And this is what we're going to do. Okay, so what is that? Ring finger, root note, first string, and then what we're going to do here, ring finger and quickly go back to the major third on our middle finger. Just back and forth there. And he's going to start to bend, but he's going to pick it on the way up. So he's going to pick it halfway up and then at the top. Now when he gets to that note at the top of the bend, we're going to hold there and we're going to pick back and forth. You're going to want to alternate there. And the way I'm counting it, when we get that first note there, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's like 6 rounds of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we come out of the lick. I know this is a lot, but I'm trying to break it down so you have the right timing on it. Now, on top of that, he is doing vibrato, a pretty strong vibrato on that bend. I would recommend just learning it straight without the vibrato at first, and then you can try adding that in. So if I do it without the vibrato, it's going to sound like. And you can start to come down on those last 4 there, all right, with the vibrato. And then at that end there, we're going to pick again and go. Okay, so pull off, root note, and collapse back down. All right, let's try it again. See, it runs right into that. All right, but the lick does not stop there. Really, when I get back to this final note, he does one of these slides back from 6 to 3 to carry us back into the first box. Now, from there, it's going to sound like this. So you see we have a little bit to go. Okay, so carry it back here, slight bend on the second string. It's kind of similar to what we've already done. Second string, walk it back again. Reach up to this blues note on the third string, but this time go straight back to it and pull it back. Okay, so that's root note. We do that same move. And then the same pull off. So, and we're going to just end there on that one. Straight to that same move. And then this time, he does this. So he goes back and forth on the fourth string and then does the pull off again. And finally ends it with another one of these. And I'm telling you, all this runs together. It's pretty crazy, but if I'm coming from that bend, and that is the end of that part. Let's play this whole section. And I mean, that lick just goes up to the last possible moment he could play in this verse. All right, that is the whole lead verse. That one is a killer. It's a lot to it, you know. So let's play the whole thing here, all right? So I'm going to come out of... Man, that's a lot to remember, a lot to play. There's nowhere to hide, and even at that slow speed, you can tell how tricky this is. All right, let's play at full speed. again. And at that point, we're going back into the chord part. So after this final, we're going to immediately slide back into this. And repeat this. Now at this point, he's going to go to the F to G, but we're going to go up high and do the higher octave. So all the way up here. Do it twice. You really got to be up on your fingertips so they ring out. Back to the C to D. And same ending. Back to that piece twice. Now we are at the ending of the song, y'all. And he goes back to this same D chord shape we used on the intro, but this time instead of C and B flat, it's going to be G and F. So we're doing it right here. Exact same move, exact same timing and phrasing, the strumming, picking, everything is the same. We're just here, so. Do the slide, and then this time he does it 4 rounds. Now at that point the song is really fading out, but you can hear him at the tail end there go into the chord change and go back to the C and B flat. So that gives you a clue as to how he might have played it live. He might have gone through the chord changes for this entire last verse and then gone back to. So that's what I would do, and then I would go to my rhythm here on the D. And then you might do a lick here, just end it with a blues lick. Something like that, or you could just and cut it off like that. I'm guessing he did something like that when he would play this song live. Great job, you guys. Congratulations. That is it. I'll see you back out there. And there you go, my friends. I hope you had a lot of fun learning this classic early blues rock guitar instrumental. Please give a listen to that entire album called The Wham of That Memphis Man to see what an incredible guitarist and vocalist Lonnie was over 60 years ago. And I think you'll also hear how much of his playing influenced Stevie Ray Vaughan and many others. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Go ahead and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever I release a new video. Please give me a thumbs up and a like, and leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Peace and love, my friends. I'll see you the next time around.